got our first question. This one is for you, Michelle. You talked a lot about making sure you know what you're buying and stuff. Where would someone start? Like, let's say they've done an audit. How can they take a few first kind of steps or actions to make sure they're really getting the most value out of it when they're speaking to particular supply side platforms or publishers?
Sure. I would say if you can access your data, I think the first and foremost is pulling your supply inventory list, right, in your publisher list. A lot of times some DSPs will only provide you with a truncated publisher or supply inventory list. So again, it's trying to understand data transparency. So I would start there. Look at your inventory supply and then look at the device types that it's running across. Try to get as much log level data as possible, and then dive into that inventory list and then go from there. Look at where it's running. Look at the performance metrics. CTV, now, if you're buying pure CTV, you should then look at your impression level data, your view through your video completion rate data. If it's pure CTV data, you should not be having clicks. Right, that should be an indicator right from there that is running on pure inventory. And then go further, look at your conversion data. See if you're running floodlights through DV, if you're running through any other tracking. Look at your attribution. Look at your measurement partners. Look at your GA4 data. Try to get as much data as you can go through, and then question your DSP partners. If anything doesn't look right, then have them provide you with detailed information as why is my inventory running in this way? Why am I seeing click-through impressions if I'm running CTV? Why am I seeing very low viewability rates for my inventory if you're running on CTV? Question the metrics, and then have them provide you with that insight.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for that. Kaysen, we had another question come up on the retail side of things. Client is CPG, and every dollar counts these days. Let's say I'm running across different DSPs, primarily a lot of Amazon, and have broadened my horizons into, another DSP like DV360. How could I really maximize my CTV buys to help connect it to in-store sales today?
Yeah, and I think that gets back to the complexities, especially for those specific clients in that vertical. What's funny enough is when we built out Pathfinder, one of the challenges that we were given from some of the clients that tested that beta was actually a CPG client. That did drive a lot towards Amazon. And what I will say is, like, when we talk about fragmentation, that is a prime example, running within DV360 and running within Amazon DSP, especially if you're driving towards an Amazon storefront, that sales data is captured within Amazon and is not necessarily able to be exported and really matched without potentially a ton of data science. So what we kind of talked about with this client is they utilize CM360 as their ad server, and we could track performance up to potentially driving to that Amazon storefront. So one thing to say is, like, don't let part of a story, your action to have at least some of a story, stop you from being able to optimize. Because that's what really that told us was when we went back, we utilized Pathfinder in this example. We could see that they were definitely over-serving some clients. They had no way of optimizing frequency. But even that visualization let them know kind of what that overlap was and where that over-serving was happening. So take into account that there are going to be verticals that are definitely going to be more fragmented and have definitely more of an uphill battle when we are talking about connecting that sales data to that impression data. A lot of it just comes back to, even if we take Amazon out, even if you were just running in DV360, we still have to have something to match everything together. So that example of that client who came to us, can I match that impression to that in-store purchase? The conversation was more of hey, we're likely going to see that impression show up in the path, but between that impression and what we're considering that offline conversion in-store data that you upload into CM360, there are other interactions that we can track through that. So it's likely not one-to-one, but we can tell a story about that data. So I think some of it's interpretation too, and understanding kind of what your customer journey really looks like. And then that goes back to the ability to like, what could we match back together from an identity spine in place?